Nestled at the end of a quiet, tree-lined street, my grandmother's house stood as a timeless refuge from the bustling world outside. It was a place where I had spent countless summers as a child, where the scent of freshly baked cookies and the warmth of her embrace had wrapped me in a cocoon of love and nostalgia. Little did I know that beneath the comforting exterior lay a sinister secret that would unveil a chilling tale of the supernatural. The story began during a visit to Grandma's house as an adult. I was drawn back to the old homestead by a deep sense of nostalgia, eager to revisit the cherished memories of my youth. From the moment I stepped through the front door, I felt an unspoken unease. The house, which had always exuded an air of welcoming familiarity, now held an eerie stillness. As I settled into my old bedroom, my childhood haven, the sense of discomfort persisted. The room, once adorned with playful wallpaper and beloved toys, now felt stark and foreboding. My unease grew as I noticed how the shadows in the room seemed to dance to an unnatural tune, shifting and writhing of their own accord. Nightfall brought an unsettling chill, both outside and within the house. The wind whispered mournful secrets through the ancient oaks that surrounded the property, and the once cozy house now seemed to creak and groan with a life of its own. I could not shake the feeling of being watched, as though unseen eyes followed my every move. The unsettling events escalated with each passing day. Objects moved on their own, their motions devoid of human touch. Unexplained whispers echoed through the hallways, faint and distant but undeniably present. Doors opened and closed of their own accord, and the atmosphere grew dense with tension. The house that had once been a haven was now a place of dread. Desperate for answers, I began to investigate the house's history, a history fraught with family secrets. I delved into forgotten diaries, letters, and photo albums tucked away in the attic. It was then that I uncovered a disturbing truth: generations of my family had practiced the occult in that very house. The ancient rituals, performed in the name of power and knowledge, had left behind a dark residue that now manifested as an otherworldly presence. Armed with this knowledge, I embarked on a quest to confront the malevolent entity. With the help of an enigmatic local historian, I unearthed the rituals and incantations necessary to banish the supernatural forces that had taken root in the house. As I stood in the heart of the house, the very epicenter of its haunting, I confronted the entity. The room pulsated with an eerie energy, and I could feel the weight of generations of occult practices bearing down on me. With every word of the incantation, the malevolent presence fought back, writhing and contorting in its struggle to maintain a hold on the house. But in the end, the power of the incantation prevailed. The malevolent entity, the manifestation of my family's dark past, was expelled from the house, leaving behind an overwhelming sense of relief and a renewed bond with my family's history. The house, once haunted by the secrets of generations, was finally at peace. It stood as a testament to the enduring power of family, the resilience of love, and the capacity to confront the shadows of the past. I left my grandmother's house with a profound sense of closure, forever changed by the haunting that had unburdened my family from a chilling legacy. In the heart of the city, amidst the towering structures that defined the urban skyline, there stood an unassuming office building. By day, it buzzed with the hum of productivity and the clatter of keyboards. By night, however, it transformed into a realm of darkness, its corridors echoing with an eerie silence. Little did I know that my ordinary office routine would soon collide with the inexplicable and the terrifying. I, a diligent employee seeking nothing more than a paycheck and a sense of accomplishment, found myself unwittingly entangled in this unfolding horror story. As I settled into my new position, the office initially seemed like any other workplace, complete with the usual rituals of introductions and training sessions. But soon, I started noticing peculiar occurrences that defied explanation. It began with subtle disturbances, shadows flitting at the edge of my vision, whispers too faint to discern, and an inexplicable feeling of being watched. I dismissed these experiences as mere tricks of the mind, attributing them to stress and fatigue. Yet, the encounters grew bolder, more tangible, as if something unseen was encroaching upon my reality. Late one evening, as I toiled away in an attempt to meet a pressing deadline, the office took on a sinister ambience. The usual comforting hum of the air conditioner was replaced by an unsettling stillness. The flickering fluorescent lights cast eerie, elongated shadows across the walls, each movement seeming deliberate and menacing. Suddenly, the room plunged into darkness. My heart pounded in my chest as I fumbled for my phone, its feeble glow illuminating the outlines of my desk. In the obsidian void, I saw them, shadowy figures, indistinct yet undeniably present, moving with an unsettling purpose. The whispers, once faint, grew into a cacophony of voices, their words unintelligible but dripping with malice. In a desperate attempt to escape, I made my way towards the door, guided solely by the pale light of my phone. But the shadows seemed to converge, enveloping me in an oppressive darkness. The door, once a passage to safety, now loomed before me like an impenetrable barrier. With trembling hands, I remembered the advice of an old colleague who had left the office under mysterious circumstances. In my pocket, I found a small vial of salt, a makeshift ward against the supernatural. As I cautiously drew a circle around myself, I recited an incantation I had stumbled upon in obscure online forums, hoping it held some semblance of power. The air crackled with an otherworldly energy as my impromptu barrier flickered to life. The shadow people recoiled, their dark forms writhing in frustration. The whispers turned into anguished cries, the malevolence of their intent palpable. For a moment, I held my ground, the circle of salt acting as a fragile shield against the malevolent force that sought to consume me. Summoning all my courage, I took a step forward, pushing through the shadows that clawed at my senses. The door yielded to my touch, swinging open with unexpected ease. I stumbled into the corridor, gasping for breath as the office, with its oppressive atmosphere, faded into the distance. In the days that followed, I delved into research, desperate to understand the nature of the shadow people that had haunted the office. I discovered ancient texts and obscure rituals, piecing together a semblance of understanding. Armed with newfound knowledge, I returned to the office, determined to confront the malevolent entities that had tormented me. The battle that ensued was one of wills and determination. The shadows fought back, their whispers turning into screams of fury. But I stood my ground, wielding the knowledge I had gained as a weapon against the darkness. In a final, desperate act, I performed a ritual meant to banish the shadow people once and for all. The office trembled as the ritual took effect. The shadows convulsed, their forms dissipating into nothingness. The whispers faded, replaced by a profound silence. I had triumphed over the malevolent force that had plagued the office, restoring a sense of peace to the once troubled space. As I walked away from the office, I couldn't help but glance back, wondering if the shadows would return. But the building stood silent and still, its windows dark and devoid of any supernatural presence. I had faced the unknown and emerged victorious, a survivor of the office horror that had tested the limits of my courage and resolve. It was a night like any other, or so I thought. The heavy velvet curtains in my bedroom swayed slightly in the gentle breeze, casting elongated shadows that danced playfully on the walls. But that ordinary night would soon transform into an experience that would haunt me for years to come. As I lay in bed, the soft, familiar creaks of the old house accompanied my thoughts. I had always found solace in the stillness of the night, the quietude that allowed for reflection and calm. Yet, this night, the silence felt oppressive, and the darkness seemed to seep into my room like an ominous presence. The air grew colder, chilling me to the bone. I reached for the comfort of my blankets, but they offered little respite from the growing unease that gnawed at my insides. A feeling of dread washed over me, inexplicable and suffocating. Then, as if summoned by my apprehension, I noticed an anomaly. In the darkest corner of the room, where the faintest glow of the streetlight struggled to penetrate, I saw a shadow. It was not an ordinary shadow, cast by a mundane object, but a formless, amorphous mass that seemed to writhe and contort with malevolent intent. My heart raced as I tried to rationalize the presence of this shadowy figure. Perhaps it was merely a trick of the light, I reasoned, or a figment of my imagination. But deep down, I knew that this was different, something inexplicable and beyond the realm of reason. The shadow seemed to grow, its inky tendrils creeping along the floor, edging closer to my bed. It was as if it fed on my fear, drawing strength from my terror. Paralyzed with fright, I could only watch as it loomed over me, a formless specter with a palpable sense of malevolence. Desperate for a glimmer of courage, I fumbled for the bedside lamp, its feeble glow dispelling the shadowy intruder for a moment. But as I tried to make sense of the situation, the light flickered and dimmed, plunging me back into darkness. I had to escape the room. My heart pounded in my chest as I mustered the strength to leap from the bed. With a trembling hand, I fumbled for the doorknob, praying that the door would yield. It creaked open, and I stumbled into the hallway, gasping for breath. The house, once so familiar and comforting, felt like a labyrinth of terror. Every creak and whisper seemed amplified, as if the very walls harbored secrets I dared not uncover. I needed to find refuge, to escape the relentless fear that pursued me. As I made my way down the corridor, I could feel the shadowy presence trailing me, a sinister force that defied explanation. It was as though the darkness itself had taken form and was determined to envelop me in its chilling embrace. I reached the living room, where the soft glow of the moon filtered through the curtains. With a surge of hope, I flung the curtains open, allowing the moonlight to flood the room. The shadow recoiled, shrinking away from the light, and I could feel its malevolence wane. Gasping for breath, I realized that the bedroom had become a place of unspeakable horror, a space where the boundary between the real and the supernatural had blurred. The darkness that had invaded my room was no ordinary shadow, it was a malevolent presence that defied logic and reason. In the years that followed, would revisit that night in my dreams and waking moments, seeking an understanding that always eluded me. The dark bedroom had been a place of terror, a realm where the inexplicable could intrude upon the mundane, and where shadows could take on a life of their own. It was an experience that would forever haunt me, a chilling reminder that some mysteries are best left unsolved, and some darkness should never be allowed to seep into the light.